Straight up on 8 a.m. right now, and we are coming to you with breaking news. This just into the Pix 11 newsroom. These are live images out of Suffolk County, Long Island, and Massapequa Park, where we're being told, and this is big news here at the top of the hour, that there has been an arrest in the Gilgo Beach murder case, which we've been following over the years here. This is a massive police response here in Massapequa Park, and these are live images that we're closely following.
As you can see right now, we know Suffolk County, Nassau County, and New York State investigators are all on this scene here. One person, we're told, is in custody, but that person's connection to the decades-old spree of unsolved murders is still not totally disclosed, but Mary Murphy has been looking into all of this.
Mary Murphy has been on this case from the very beginning. Our intrepid reporter, she's joining us now on the phone with these breaking details. Mary, good morning. What do you know?
Good morning, Dan and Calla. I can tell you that it is a man that was arrested this morning in Massapequa Park, which is right near the Nassau County, Suffolk County border. And Massapequa has always been part of this case because we reported early on, about 10 years ago, that there was a ping that came from one of the victims' phones that went to a tower in Massapequa. And a senior law enforcement source just spoke to me this morning. He confirmed the arrest. And we understand that there will be some kind of an indictment unsealed out in Riverhead later today, and that the suspect will be taken out to Riverhead. No name yet, but I'm told he's middle-aged to senior in age, between his 50s and his 60s, which would make sense because some of these victims were found back as far back as 1996. 2 legs were found in Davis Park near Fire Island. But the real big beginning of this investigation was December 2010 when the first 4 victims were found along Ocean Parkway in Gilgo Beach.
I mean, Mary, this has been years in the making, right? Documentaries, movies been made about this very case. Rodney Harrison, the Suffolk County Police Commissioner, even formed a specialized unit to investigate these murders, and he said he believed there would be an arrest in the near future, and here we are today. Any word, Mary, I know this is early on and you're just getting word of these details, on how police were able to navigate their way to Massapequa Park and this specific individual?
Well, what you know that the task force was formed in February this year. It involved the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, the police department in Suffolk County, Nassau County was involved, the FBI, the state police, a huge task force. And I did learn this morning that within a month, this suspect was identified. But then you have the work of DNA. You also had extensive phone analysis that was done. Now, what made the case difficult was it was believed that the killer was using a burner phone. So when he would make the dates with some of these victims who were sex workers, a lot of them, he would use a burner phone. So those are harder to track down. But the thing about Massapequa just stands out to me because I've long reported that there was a ping that came from one of the victims' phones. And the killer apparently was taunting the younger sister of one victim using the victim's phone and saying very nasty things. And there was a ping that went from Penn Station and then apparently along the railroad and then Massapequa. So this makes sense that they found someone in Massapequa.
Mary, can you go over, I know in the past your reporting has included so many of the victims' families. Police have said that over half of the victims worked as prostitutes at some point. Can you talk about what these victims' families have gone through over the last decade trying to track down a killer with very little leads?
Well, first of all, they were concerned early on that no one cared because these young women were sex workers. But they repeatedly went out to Ocean Parkway between Gilgo and Oak Beaches, because Oak Beach is also a big part of this investigation. And they repeatedly went out there and they held vigils, and they would not be unheard. And finally, they were heard. There was a big thing made about the Suffolk County Police Department, the prior administration, that they shut down the investigation, allegedly, that they wouldn't allow the FBI to come in. But then several years ago, right before the pandemic, a new police commissioner had come in, Geraldine Hart, and she used to work with the FBI, and she brought the FBI back in. And also during the pandemic, one of the unknown victims was identified, Valerie Mack, through the use of familial DNA genealogy. So the FBI was able to put some of the DNA into one of those ancestral type sites, and they identified one of the previously unknown victims. We're not sure if that helps in this case. We'll find out, we hope, later today.
Yeah, I mean, and again, we're looking at live images right here, Mary, from the Massapequa Park crime scene, where you see that massive police presence there. Obviously a massive police presence with this decades-old serial killer case that you have been on since the very beginning. But Mary, what are your sources telling you about the moment they were able to locate this individual, if anything? I know, like I said, it's early on, so the details here are still coming in. You know, was this an easy arrest? What exactly happened the moment police arrived there on the scene?
Well, the thing is, the person who confirmed for me did us a favor. And I think it was because we have spent so long reporting on this case. And there have been so many twists and turns, as you know. So I can't tell you right at this second what happened the minute they went in.
Yeah.
I can just tell you that apparently the suspect may already be on his way to Riverhead, because that's where the bail hearing is going to be. And there's going to be an extensive bail hearing. And I believe details will come out there about how they nailed this suspect, who is believed to be in his 50s or his 60s. And, you know, we should point out that there were so many people talked about as persons of interest in the past.
A police commissioner.
Yeah, well, the chief of police, because, you know, James Burke, he was the chief of department, the highest ranking uniformed officer in Suffolk County. He got into trouble for assaulting a person that was in custody because items had been stolen out of his police vehicle, and some of them were embarrassing. And he went and assaulted the guy at one of the precincts. And there was a lot of talk and belief that he was stymieing the investigation. And people speculated, oh, was he involved? But I was told by numerous law enforcement officials in recent years that he was ruled out. Another person who was really looked at was this carpenter, John Bitroff, who was arrested on a cold case. I believe it was around 2014, 2015. And, you know, he was accused of killing 2 sex workers, later convicted. They were found out in Manorville. And he was interesting to look at because some of the torsos connected to the Gilgo case were found in Manorville. But Bitroff apparently is not the one arrested. He's in prison. Yeah. And this person lived in Massapequa Park.
Mary, are you able to go over again, what is this scene here at First Avenue at Massapequa Park that we are showing live pictures of? Why is this relevant?
It's relevant because this is where the elusive suspect in the Long Island serial killer case, there are 2 names for this alleged killer. We first called him the Gilgo Beach serial killer because the first 4 victims were found in Gilgo Beach along Ocean Parkway. But later, a lot of people that worked this case extensively called him LISK, which was short for Long Island serial killer, because the victims' body parts were found in various parts of Long Island, not just Gilgo Beach. Some of the women, their torsos were found in Manorville, which is 40 miles to the east. And then when this investigation really went into high gear in 2010, 2011, some of their body parts, other body parts, were found along Ocean Parkway, and that's when those connections were made. In terms of the scene in Massapequa Park, obviously this is one of the biggest law enforcement arrests we've reported on in some time. It's not often that we deal with serial killers, and this one eluded us for a very long time. So the fact that law enforcement believes they have him, that's huge. And that's why you're seeing the really big presence out in Massapequa Park where this man was living.
A massive response to these live images, like you said, Mary, with all agencies involved here, this multi-agency approach and arrest. Mary, I appreciate you. Nobody is matched to your reporting. It is unbelievable the amount of details you were able to get on a short amount of time. You have been on this case since the very beginning. We thank you for waking up with us, and I know you're going to be all over this throughout the day, Mary, so we'll let you go, work your sources, but appreciate you this morning.
All right. Have a good morning.
All right, Mary.
Thank you, Dean.
Mary's going to be all over this case. We have Kirsten Cole headed to that scene as well, and we have other crews headed to the Riverhead Courthouse where that arraignment is going to take, where the indictment is going to be unsealed later on today. But again, a massive police response here in Massapequa Park with an arrest made, like you heard Mary Murphy reporting, to the Gilgo Beach murder serial killer. This is an unbelievable event that we're watching here at 8:09 this morning.